Joseph Ochieno, you've been following the tantrums from Donald Trump, the President of America, against Venezuela. Trump is saying he's going to attack Venezuela, he's putting sanctions on him because their President Maduro is a drug dealer, drug trafficker. So he's not dealing with the president, he's dealing with a drug trafficker. But between me and you, we know that it's not about drug trafficking. No, it's about the resources of Venezuela. Venezuela comes as one of the biggest producers of oil in the world. And so Trump suspiciously wants a share of that oil. Just like he's doing in Africa, in Congo, in Libya, when Gaddafi refused them from partaking of their oil, they had to deal away with him. Saddam Hussein in Iraq, they did the same. They have divided Sudan into two, Sudan and South Sudan, because they want to make you weak and then partake of your resources. That's what they are trying to do with Uganda here. They have been sponsoring some. When they say Uganda, you do like this, but America has been very involved in the oil project. They're even sponsoring some groups to demonstrate on the pipeline. These people along the pipeline that they should be compensated, blah 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 blah. But inside they are trying actually to destabilize the country. That's what they've been doing in Congo. They have divided Congo into two. They have given a big chunk of Congo, Eastern Congo, that is the richest in terms of minerals, to the rebel, so that they use the rebels to reach out to the minerals to steal. Maduro is refusing. What is your opinion on Trump-Maduro war, Comrade Joseph Ochieno?
You know?
Yes, I know.
Every time I'm on this program with you,
yes, sir,
and on some other programs,
yes, sir,
when I talk UPC,
yes, sir,
people crick. When I talk Obote, people crick. When I talk about our past records and the challenges we faced, people crick.
Yes, sir. Because you're talking in the past to in the future.
No, that's a very important point. What I talk about is exactly about what is happening now. What I talk about UPC is
exactly how they would have handled the matter.
No. Ideological polity, geopolitical polity, the politics of identity, African personality, socialism, imperialism, with their equipment called excess capitalism. And you know what? I genuinely get frustrated. And I hope your camera people, young, and I really hope they're listening to me and they're watching. You know, this is at the bottom. So the day Ugandans will wake up, they will cry in the grave for Milton Wood.
We're talking about
no. Please, allow me to build this. Please allow me to build this. Meaning, the forces that Milton Obote and others were able to see long time ago.
In Maduro's issue.
Long time ago. It's because if you interrupt me, then I might fault you for you yourself also missing the point.
I'm listening.
And it's not easy for me to say what I've just said, because I'm genuinely very serious about it. That these people saw the Maduro polity in the 50s and 60s.
That's how you're linking it. Okay.
These people saw when Patrice Lumumba was killed, and they stood up. They're the few people who stood up. They were killed, given crude names. Until today, you realize that when we refer, some people, including some of your viewers, switch off. No, those who switch off need to pray so that they get actually liberated.
By praying? Or they need to open up their mindsets?
You know,
prayer is going to block them even further.
Pray, you can pray, whatever context. So, point is, so Patrice Lumumba is killed brutally by the very same forces that now you see raising their ugly things, quote, in Venezuela. And when they appear in Venezuela, the silly thing, and I'm saying it deliberately, the silly thing, you know, no, I'm using this as a language for scholarly but an emotive conversation, not abusing, you know, is that the average African, yeah, does not see, they don't know that whatever is of Venezuela is directly linked to them.
To Africa.
Because at some stage they think, oh, it's about Maduro and Venezuela. Just like in a very cryptic way, people thought when the Zimbabwean question was, people thought it was Robert Mugabe and those Zimbabweans.
And his voice.
You know, those Zimbabweans. You know, no, this is the politics of global capitalism, you know, as the engine for imperialism.
Geopolitics.
So these guys tried, they wanted to control Congo way back in the 50s, and they did, from slavery to new colonialism to all these explorative things. And they did it in Uganda. And I said, we were you know, overthrown. My party and government was overthrown because we're taking a position saying no to these people. I was joking with you about William Pike, lest you forget earlier. These are the forces that I'm sure even the Musevenis some of them don't have a clue what element of play they are. But if they did, then they're opportunistically using these forces to serve their purposes, which is the risk with Africans and imperialism. You know, because the African who knows what I know, there is no reason why they should engage in impunity. The African who knows what I know should, with the exception of specific human rights abuses, not seek to harm Robert Mugabe. The African who knows what I know, you know, should today, had I been an average student at Trenton, at Makerere University, I would be mobilizing students across the country, across the various universities in the country, to do what? To campaign and demonstrate against American imperialism threatening Venezuela. The reason is not that Venezuela is one of the largest oil producers in the world. It is because Venezuela has the largest known oil deposit in the world. And after this bunch went and colonized successfully Kuwait, went ahead and sought to use Saddam Hussein, okay, initially after the fall of the Shah of Iran, to check Iran. After Saddam Hussein turns like Idi Amin turned against them and becomes the bad boy in Iraq, they continue to use Saddam Hussein. You know, you're one spy. The Iraq war did not start with invasion and killing of Saddam Hussein. The original thing was the war between Iran and Iraq. You know, Iraq, meaning the agent, Saddam, the agent of
Saddam Hussein.
Imperialism, yeah, was the net aggressor used by
against Iran.
Global Western forces against Iran. The idea was break Iran after the Iranian Revolution that overthrew the Shah. Why? Because these guys wanted to control Iranian oil.
Control
Iranian oil, use Iraq to have client regimes like the Nyampalas, like these days we have Nyampalas regimes in East Africa, okay, used Saddam Hussein as the Nyampala of the Middle East to bully the rest for this oil. You know.
And after he did it, they came for him finally also.
No. When he sort of woke up and started
when he refused.
When he started not doing their bidding.
Yes, then they went for him.
Yes, and then so by then, I was an average young student. And during the Iran-Iraq war, at the peak of the conflict, the Iranians at the UN, the Iranians wanted, during the peace talks, for the United Nations to say that Iraq is the aggressor in the war. And they would have a peaceful settlement. They refused. And the then Iranian foreign minister was saying, all we want is an acknowledgement that Iraq is the aggressor in this conflict. They didn't get it. To the extent that the Americans, the important thing is that your camera people hadn't even been born at the time, so maybe now I'm boring them. But I'm helping students of history. That the Americans downed an Iranian Airbus with 285, 65, 280 something passengers. You know.
Killed?
Yeah, I think in 1980.
260 something?
Yes.
Killed?
Yes. The American aircraft carrier brought down an Iranian passenger aircraft during the war.
Over 260 something on board?
Yes.
And no accountability?
No accountability. And then, around that time was the time when the Middle East Arabs, the Palestinian-related people, were using this, they're using when they kidnap hostages as a weapon. So the war, global war has moved.
The whole
from that, yes, because
and then they want to use them to negotiate.
If you're a weaker part,
you bring out people with
indeed, when you're a weaker party in a conflict, what do? You cannot outgun them. You can use some other leverages. For me, I'm also amongst others a scholar of conflicts, you know, and being also someone who has God, I am completely anti-war. I am completely anti-conflict, and being a socialist, I am also fundamentally opposed to nuclear wars, nuclear armaments, and we will push for global peace. And so, you know, these Ukrainian things, why did you start me this with the last end of the topic and, you know, we're supposed to be brief? You know, so it's a very personal thing, but it's also very frustrating globally, and particularly for the African, who's the number one victim in this global thing as a continent, as a people. So, I remember these CNNs of the world, those days, the day after the Iranian Airbus had been brought down, the Iranian foreign minister was at the UN, and the Western media were asking this guy, what can you say about the hostages being held allegedly by Hezbollah? And I remember this guy said, what's the stake? We're talking about 280 people's lives, and you talk about whatever. So I recall that, but all of them were important. Anyway, hostages were eventually all released, including people who were related to Uganda and things like that. So I'm telling you how far. Then after that, Iraq subdues Iran. Then after that, these guys stand against Saddam Hussein, get rid of him. Now I see what has happened in Syria. And I say, Africans, when are you going to wake up to begin not only to fight for your corner, but to defend your end? For how long are Africans going to be used as stooges, as Nyampalas, to push American foreign interests? That said, you saw what happened in Zimbabwe, and then here we are. After the Americans from Vietnam, they failed. And on these other Middle East things, they sort of failed. Here you can see the carnage that Israel subjected to the Palestinians and the sub-region, and the Ugandans and Africans who clap because it's a holy land. I am telling you, Jesus is my man. No! Jesus is annoyed in heaven. It's unacceptable what happened there in the Holy Land by Netanyahu. Now, fast forward, they've gone ahead, and thankfully, they seem to be losing in Ukraine the arrogant expansion of NATO. Of course, I don't agree with the occupations, and I don't necessarily agree with the Russian position. But if it's the Russian position as a buffer, like Uganda was a buffer to the Arab world, that's why these guys wanted to control Uganda when Sudan was that. I also remember the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. Of course, I was still being planned, but this is history. That Cuba put a missile thing in down there. I mean, yeah, Russia put missiles in Cuba, and these guys nearly provoked a third world war. Now, if that is not the case, why go ahead and threaten Russia? Come to you. You're Venezuela. This is global politics, ideologically driven, but it's the world fight for resources. America has lost it elsewhere. America now wants to use a crude, Trumpite kind of excuse to go and occupy Venezuela. Young Africans, young Ugandans need to know that, and they need to take a position. I think we need to begin turning these things as a matter of campaign, as students, as governments, and maybe as a part of a debate for presidential candidates. It's shocking that, or maybe it's next time,
position on international politics.
International politics, neither here nor there, let alone the conversation on East Africa. I really hope common sense prevails, that Trump goes, and that Trump is defeated, that right-wing extremism of Trumpism dies in America, dies in Britain with the Farages of this world, that the progressive left politics once again resumes, and that the winners are environmentalists, the winners are green politics, and the winners are people who push for global peace and security, and people who push for total non-nuclear, non-proliferation in the world. And so therefore, Venezuela becomes a country for the Venezuelans. They produce their oil, they become very rich like Middle Easterns, and their profits are shared by all of us in the world.
That note, my comrade Joseph Ochieno, I want to thank you so much. I was actually supposed to be flying to Venezuela tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. I was supposed to be flying tomorrow, and then reach Venezuela on Friday afternoon. You know what Trump has done? He is frustrating all flights to Venezuela. So number one is, even flights that are willing to go there are being threatened with Trump. But also number two, they have hiked prices 5 times the normal price. If I was supposed to have used about 4 million, my ticket was costing 18 million. Imagine from 4 to 18 million because of Trump sanctions.
That's how dictators blackmail.
Yeah. So even right now, I'm not sure because flights they want to drop me somewhere, and from there to Venezuela they are saying you find another flight. But wait, which one? You want me to walk there? For them they're saying we can get you from Uganda to somewhere, then from somewhere to Caracas. You find other means, which means by road. So they are fearing to go there. So you can see, like you are saying, Africa must take interest in the geopolitics of the world. I am an African in Kampala. I am already affected. You see the point? I am affected. That even if I wanted to do business in Venezuela now, instead of using 4 million, I would have to use 18 million. That is a cost on me. So it means an issue in Venezuela is an issue for the entire world to take interest in. Comrade Joseph Ochieno, Pintec, the other third, you said not Pintec,
Pinbino.
Pinbino.
This world will be okay and better for the future for this country.
This is what it means.
Yes.
Joseph Ochieno, Pinbino. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic.
It's been a pleasure meeting you again.
Likewise.
And of course, I appreciate your golden time that you every week dedicate to this program. Thank you so much, my brother.
My pleasure.
My name is Andy Rumba Katusale. This is Andy Rumba Live, and this particular episode belongs to Comrade Joseph Ochieno Pinbino.
Pinbino.
Yeah.